So I recently just tore these two units out from a grocery store, and there's these two compressors on these units here, the original 1963 semi-hermetics. You can tell by the head color right there, painted white. It's for R12. So I thought those would be a fun teardown. So let's get this thing washed up on the outside and we'll start digging in it. Right, got it on the dolly. Got it in here. Let's give this little guy a wash here. Okay, so I got all the bolts out of this thing. So I got all the covers broken up too, so they'll come right off. They're quite a pain. What I do is I get my screwdriver, put it right at the edge where the gasket is, hit your hammer. You can see I use a sledgehammer, all kinds of hammers and everything. Bust those gaskets, because this is from 1963 and they've been on there for a long time and they will not want to come off. They want to fight you every step of the way. So now that that's out of the way, let's pop this head off here and see the shape. So right off the bat, you can see here, there's no major discolorations. It's fairly good for this age. What I see for freezers a lot is these heads get completely black. They just overheat and you can just wipe it off and it's just black residue all over them. So this is not that bad here. Here are reed valves. The way these work is when the piston goes down, this valve moves down, allowing gas to come through this hole here. And then as soon as the piston comes back up, the pressure pushes this valve against the head here and seals. And then there's another valve right here that works the same principle of when it pushes, it'll allow it to go through it and out these two holes here. And then when the piston comes back down, it uses these two valves to allow gas to come in and then pushes it out here for these two sides here. Now there are discus compressors and those use a different style of these reeds. This is the very old school way. So let's take these reeds out. Here you can see both the pistons. So this is your suction line here coming in through your service valve. If you look all the way down in there, there's a screen that will prevent any shavings or whatever gunk may be in the line to come in. Comes in through here. This copper tube is an oil entrance to the crankcase. So any oil that returns, that pools up, will go down back into the crankcase. It goes through the pump here, and then once it's done, it comes down this hole here and out the discharge valve. So that's how all the pumping mechanism works for these semi-hermetics. A little different styles with the reeds, but this is the really simple one. So let's take a look at the motor section now. Okay, so this plate here, there's a rod that goes into the actual shaft. Now you can see this cap right here, when it sits like this, the way it works is oil pools in the bottom down there, and then when this rotates, it flings it up, and then this is a catch basin that catches that oil, and it comes down that center tube, and it goes all the way down the shaft, and that's what feeds oil through a lot of it. Because these compressors are not big enough where they have an actual oil pump mounted on the front. So it works only with the small mechanism here and this oil catch mechanism right here. So in here, you can see the windings. You can see these are quite dark. And I cannot rotate this. it is seized. That could be because it's been sitting for 15 years or longer. I don't know, but it is rock solid. So that's about it to the motor section. That's what this does. That's just a counterweight. That's some motor windings right there. So let's take a look to the crankcase side here. First, we'll start with, this is a sight glass right here. And this, you can see your oil level while operation. You don't want ever see this above 3/4. Any more than that is really excess and you want to remove it. This is a oil service port. You can take that out and put a hose down in there to suck oil out or putting more oil in. So let's take off this front cover right here. This has our main bearing for the crankshaft. As you can see, that's our bearing right there. And you can also see some oil journals, and that's a small mechanism in there that helps pump it. And here's not much to see. Here's our crankcase. You can see the 2 connecting rods. All the Copeland compressors in this era, they have these aluminum connecting rods for all the pistons. Right down in that corner, you can see the sight glass right there. That's the sight glass for oil. And then oil is about to the bottom of that sight glass, so this is decently full with oil. You can see it right there. There's a level. But this is the center where that oil gets fed in from this tube here through the entire shaft to here and into this pump. So basically, this picks up the oil here when it spins. This is kind of like, it picks it up here, comes in here, this reservoir, flows here, and then this pumps it. So instead of having a tube that would suck it up, that's the mechanism it has to lubricate. And then from there, it would lubricate all the connecting rods and pistons and everything. Another thing to note is, since oil is coming back with refrigerant, some of it will go in here and back down the crankcase, and some of it will lubricate all the pistons and the valve plate and the reeds and everything. Now, there's not much to this mechanism right here. Flip it over here. This is your end cap, and then here you can see it just fell out. This is a washer that is supposed to be one piece, and it's like a spring. It's like a spring. As you can see, there are multiple pieces. This is a piece here too. Right here. So this is supposed to sit here and act like a spring to push this against this plate. So that would go directly down in there as it sits, and it would push against here, and that would make a seal. But that's since broken, and then you can also see some gashings on this piece here from where the metal to metal contact was made. So this thing's definitely had some problems, and this is broken right there, and there's a piece missing. You can see it does not make a complete piece. So that's about all there is to these semi-hermetic compressors. They're really simple, they last forever. One other thing to note with the tags, so for the model number, L is the series, A is for air-cooled, and then you have the specs, which is H1, which is like, is it for medium temp or low temp? And then the next digits, the 0300 is the size, so this is a 3 horsepower. If the last digit on that also says the oil, so this is just 0300, so there's nothing there, so it'd be mineral oil. If it was 030E, it would be POE, or A is alkybenzing. TAD is just the voltage, so that in this case it says 440, 3-phase, 60 cycle. On the serial number, the first 2 digits are the year, the number, so in this case it's 1963, so this is a really old one. That's about all there is to the tag here. Here we've got your wires that come in, you got your overload protector for the motor, and these will just connect directly down to the windings. So that's about it. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this.